Okay, final part of this video. Once you have done your data analysis, the next bit is explaining the challenges these pose for the community and extrapolating that possible implications for the community in each section. That's where I was referring to previously about these final sentences. Now this is going to be the biggest part of your assignment, as I said. The next part you then go on to is an overall extrapolation of the impacts of malaria challenges. This is going to be section 4. Now you can break this down again into subgroups. They won't be the same subsections as your analysis. Because you're looking at impacts, not causes. So the analysis is about patterns and causes. The impacts is about, what does this actually mean in the future and currently what's happening? So you might break this down to health impacts, economic impacts, okay? You don't have to have 3 sections. Just because the example has 3, you don't have to have them. Now, the big thing is, remember always to consider the spatial patterns of the challenges. That's what makes geography different. Don't forget, we draw in ideas from a lot of different sections, and then we say what they look like in the real world and where they are in the real world. So it might be, going back to here, is it more severe, these health impacts, in areas with higher population density? Or if you were able to find regional income across a country, then you might say it's in richer or poorer areas. Again, don't stress if you can't find that information. All you have to do is work with what you've got. If you couldn't find that information and you think it would have been useful, mention in your methodology that this was a gap in the data that you couldn't find. Then you're covered. Okay, what does this section do? So let's have a look back here. On the exemplar, it was talking about the population structure, and then it talked about migration, and then it had a section on housing. Now what they've done is bring this together for housing and urban sprawl. So more people need more houses, and so this is being spread out more. So if we have a look here, they've looked at where people are living and how it's moving out. Okay, lots of stuff on migration, how many more people are coming into the area, blah-de-blah-de-blah. And that's where they've brought in, now this one, they've made the links between having more people and that map of where people are living, showing that they're moving out into new areas. Okay. On this exemplar, by the way, if you want to have a look, blue matches up with this, pink matches up with this. Okay, this is the ISMG, and this is showing what they did. And there's a little explanation under it. Leave you to go through that yourself. So you're looking at the impacts that the challenges would have. And you'll notice this is substantially smaller and shorter than the data analysis. There's one little table here that they're using that they've created themselves because they're just linking it to, oh, they'll need more schools because they've only got this many to start with. They didn't need that in their analysis. They're just using it to prove a point for later on. Again, depends on what you find, whether you're actually going to need that. All right. Then coming up with your proposed actions. Make sure you're linking causes and solutions. So they've looked at, one of the impacts is housing. That's going to be the big thing. because everything in here was about housing and urban sprawl, housing type and affordability. Education was a little one. But on here, the big issue to address, they've said, is housing. They're not trying to fix everything. Now, you might have here in your analysis that you've identified one of the main causes as being a lack of access to healthcare. That could be because the nation is very poor, for example, in the DRC. So, how do you actually then get more healthcare into people when a government doesn't have money for it? Is there a greater role for the WHO or other non-government organisations to play? Is it that there's been such a focus on the under fives that maybe we need greater education in the older age groups? I don't know. You will need to figure out one proposal that you think will have the biggest impact on one of these impacts, one or two of these impacts that you have identified. Okay? So, you're linking your actions to your analysis and the impacts. Okay. You need to explain briefly how it will address the challenge. Why will it work and how will it work? You can't just say, oh, I'll give everybody bed nets. Why? And how will that actually help? And will it help those older age groups where the death rate isn't shifting? Okay, you'll need to explain why. The last section is your summary. Summarize the challenges, summarize what's already being done, why more attention needs to be focused on particular challenges you've identified, say, for example, in your impacts and your analysis, and brief summary, you'll notice it's very brief, why those proposals will benefit the community. Now, when it comes to presentation of your report, I strongly suggest that you go and look at this example, have it open on one screen where you can flick to and from it, because the layout of this report is excellent. Okay, you'll notice figures, borders, titles, figures referred to in here. There's not a lot of in-text referencing. That's okay because you're providing the data. You will need to provide a bibliography at the end. Okay? Such as this. Remember, we're using APA. I think this one uses Harvard. So just check on our senior geography page. Down here, there's a referencing guide that you can use. And when in doubt about referencing, ask the librarians. Okay, hopefully these videos will give you a bit of a hand, but as always, email me, ask me as many questions as you like to work on this.